Before time immortal, the dark and stormy nights arose from creation's primordial nectar. Brought to this world as both muse and master to deliver mortals from misery and the mundane. Welcome, lords and ladies. It's the dark and stormy nights.
All right, welcome back, guys. I keep meaning to do this. This is episode 14. I always forget to tell you guys what episode this is. Not that you don't know, because you probably clicked on it. But I feel like it's a good habit. I think it's something we should get into. Anyways, this is Loki.
This is Tyr.
Odin.
And now that you know who we all are, we are the Dark and Stormy Knights. And we're back to write a story with you once again. Today we're going to go over second half of chapter 6.
Right.
And maybe if you're good little boys and girls, we'll do the beginning of chapter 7.
Just maybe.
We'll see where we get with this. So, in a little while, I'm going to read into this. But did we have anything to announce? Anything to say?
Well, I mean, do we want to go over like where we're at so far?
Yeah, let's recap it a little bit.
Okay. So, recapping. Let's see. Chapter 1, we started off
I feel
with.
like we need a rewind noise.
What?
That did not sound like a rewind.
I didn't say I could do it well.
That
I feel we need one.
That was like a bird queef.
That was.
Feel free to add
the
one.
Scooby-Doo noise or whatever. Okay, so chapter 1 started off with
Lube. Sorry, from the Hanna-Barbarians or whatever they were, from
What?
Space Ghost.
Oh God.
You remember that thing? The
No,
white
I honestly don't. I remember the jet skis.
Sorry, that I apologize. I shouldn't have cut you off.
You guys are old. Anyway.
Thanks.
All right. Anyway, okay, so chapter 1 was kind of meshing our good guys and bad guys right off the rip, right? Establishing that they're not the most cohesive team. Chapter 2, we did a
Much
run
like
through.
us.
Yeah. Chapter 2, we did a run through of Dale's point of view, where he followed the team, got some different behind the scenes input of how their team works or doesn't work, as the case may be, and a little bit of detail about Hammond and his rush around the workshop. Let's see. And then chapter 3 was all about our bad guys, right?
Didn't we flip that?
We did. We moved Dale to chapter 2.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I'm sorry.
Yeah, so chapter 3 ended up being, wow, this is a lot of scrolling. We did a lot of writing. Okay, chapter 3 ended up being, starting off with interviewing the Bob number 2. What Bob are we on? Does anybody know?
I think today will be number 3.
Are we post Karen yet? Or been yeah.
Oh no, we're not.
We summoned Karen.
We're not even there. We've got, well, let's figure it out after today. We got more Bobs to go through.
Well, when we first introduced Bob, who is Ronald, that is the second Bob.
That's second Bob.
And
so
we'll eventually have a third.
Okay, so we killed Bob when Karen came through.
You never really meet first Bob.
Oh, Lordy. Okay.
Well,
He dies in a barn.
We didn't fully
Mhm.
witness Bob getting sacrificed, did we? Was it a full?
Oh, yeah,
His
no.
We know
screams
it
echoed.
happened. Yeah.
No.
It just wasn't.
There's
graphic.
blood on
Right.
everybody.
Okay, so
you see him eviscerate.
chapter 3 was Desmond, and that's where we meet Ronald, a.k.a. Bob. All right, and so that goes through with them knowing that they need to find Dale. And then chapter 4 was me. That was Jennifer doing recon, them realizing that the pig is with the team, and that maybe they're going to need a little bit more muscle than they had originally anticipated. That's where we get to see a little bit more of Desmond's backstory, and gave some depth to that villain, and then also where we summon the Jorogumo and sacrifice Ronald, a.k.a. Bob 2. And then we went to chapter 5, was a day in the life of Wilhelm, the Shifters Anonymous, an intro to Philip and Karen. And that ended with Wilhelm and Karen. And I don't think that you actually did the whole... No, there was no actual kidnapping. It was just kind of a come with me.
It was suggested.
It was a
It
trap.
was a fade out. Yeah.
Okay.
Although it does bring into mind, I have a few notes of where Philip might be going. And depending on who gets a chapter, it's totally their ballpark what they want to do. But I think that going forward, we should share notes if we have envisioned a character a certain way, But whenever it's that person's turn to write, they do whatever they want.
You mean where Philip's going as a character?
Well, like I have backstory and other ideas in my head that are not in print.
Okay.
Anytime I introduce a character, I always,
I
fill out a
believe
bio
that
in
you're
my
going to
head.
have the first license to use Philip as a character.
Right, but I mean, if somebody
Well, he
wants to go in a
already
different
did
direction
started
and it's
writing
their
Philip.
turn, they're welcome to make changes or go in other directions. I'm just saying is if you want input, I'm just saying whoever, because we're taking turns and it may not always land on
Right.
the same person.
Right. Well, as it turns out, I think, because right now, last episode we did the beginning of chapter 6, which was the team realizing that Wilhelm is gone, Zara and Hammond butting heads, and then Meredith finally realizing that she needed to kind of step up as the head of the team here. As it turns out, from the framework that we have already started putting together, between Loki finishing up chapter 6 here, and then chapter 7 was mine, which we kind of focused more on the team and the bad guys in that one. So Philip's going back to you.
Okay.
Didn't we say that Philip would be involved in the next in chapter 8?
Yeah, and you'll see shortly. I kind of set it up to what's going to happen. So
Yeah, I might need a refresher either on or off air.
that's fine.
Yeah.
Luckily for you,
Well-
it'll be recorded for posterity.
Is this true?
And we might have time to put a little bit more together, clean it up a little.
Well, that's the thing. This is once again, this is all the draft, right? I mean,
Right.
changes
Oh, of
can be
course.
made. So I'm not entirely against if something needs to be cascaded back a little bit to set something up that we didn't quite realize we needed.
Right.
So,
But much like the Danes and Monty Python, we take turns wielding supreme authority.
I don't think our average listeners are going to know what that means.
The whole watery tart scene?
No, I get you. I'm
Lobbing
just saying, I
flaming
think that's
centaurs?
before
No.
most people. I'm not sure.
Really?
I mean, you're quite old.
It's a classic. It's a classic.
I mean, we're approaching like 10, 12,000 years old now, so
Oh, yeah.
a lot of our listeners
Odin is timeless.
are quite young.
Monty Python is timeless.
So, yeah,
This is true.
they came up with us. So, few people know that. Few people know that they were part of our pantheon for a short period of time.
Monty Python?
Yeah, I mean, they're amazing. So, how could we not invite them to join the frivolity?
Right.
I
We'll be
definitely
banging
could see
coconuts together in the next episode.
We'll be banging something together.
I do feel Loki's influence in that.
So, what's that? Oh, Monty
The
Python?
entire genre.
So,
Good stuff.
man, I wish I could take credit for that shit. It's mostly drugs. But
One would hope.
so, okay. So we're basically all caught up, right?
Yeah, I think that's where we left it off was and the Robert reveal.
Right.
And then yeah, Meredith kind of clunking Hammond and Zara's heads together and telling them to get over themselves.
So essentially, the last what's coming up is the last half of this chapter.
Right.
So as I'm calling it, chapter 6.2. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And in this, we kind of get the team together a little bit. Of course, they're not at 100%, right?
No, but they're kind of like, gung ho, gearing up, need to pull it together.
They got the gist of the speech, I think.
Right.
I think they got the what Meredith meant, and they're gonna come together and kind of make things happen. We're gonna kind of assemble what needs to be assembled to finish their quest. So.
Okay,
All right, we'll come back after this.
sounds good.
After what seemed like the universe's longest second, Zara and Hammond glance at each other. First he gives her a nod, then she him. The two immediately separate to their respective quarters. Meredith makes a call. "Poppy, old friend." "Mary, my love, how can I help you?" "Can you make a house call, my dear? There's going to be a reckoning, and I need to supply my friends and I." "Indeed, my dear. I'll be over in 2 shakes." "Wonderful. We'll be waiting, love. Just come on in." Meredith hangs up the phone and sets off to her room. She walks to her bed and pulls a drawer hidden in its base. The drawer is neatly organized arsenal of weapons, gadgets, and gizmos. Meredith begins to conceal every weapon she can carry. By the time she is done, every garment on her person is or conceals a weapon. Bladed boots? Check. Hair woven in metal throwing sticks? Check. Dual-sleeve derringers? Check. Heel blade? Check. Throwing knives concealed in corset? Check. Dale watches Hammond as he carefully selects from an array of gadgets lining the shack behind the brownstone. Hammond browses his display, picking his cachet as he went. Of course the crossbow repeater, the lightning gun, the gas gun, he said aloud. But do we take old Bertha or Betsy? He scratches his chin as he looks back and forth between two locked chests on the floor. Dale sniffed the chest, trying to understand what Hammond was thinking about. One chest smelled the way the farmer's tractor did. Gas, metal, soot. The other was difficult to make out. Dale was sure he smelled spaghetti, but that couldn't be right. Zara was neat and methodical. She opened a large armoire which had a false back, which revealed her weapon stash, or as she liked to refer to it, the "don't fuck with me" closet. The weapons inside were arranged by type and size. To the right, batons, followed by blades, whips, ropes, and chains. Next, thrown weapons, followed by projectile, and last were shackles. Zara knew exactly what she was going to choose. Stakes for vampires, silver blade for wares, blessed hammer for demons, firearms for range, daggers for close-up, and for, if all else fails, an angel firebomb. Zara whispers to herself as she tucks it away in her hooded suit. Meredith speaks aloud as she works to conceal all of her weapons while attempting to look ladylike. She primps and tucks in the mirror. "Robert, my love, I know you can hear me, and now I know you have been watching over us. I miss you so much. We will get him back. We will bring Wilhelm home. But when the deed is done, you and I are going to have a long talk. Do you understand? If you do, give me a sign." The job board clicks away. Dash, dot, dash, dash, dot, 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 dot. "Good," Meredith replied upon finishing primping. She opened the door to her room. "Oof. Hammond, what have you been eating?" "Good. Poppy is here." Meredith rounded the corner into the parlor. Hammond had Poppy by the shoulders, sizing her up like an old uncle would a niece they hadn't seen since they were little. Finishing with a token peck on the cheek. "Sardines, my dear. The breakfast of gods." Hammond laughed heartily at his own wit. Oddly, nobody else seemed to get it. Meredith, soft and kind, asked Hammond in a tone he couldn't resist, "Do you mind grabbing her wares, love?" "Of course, Mary." Hammond rolled the words out of his mouth and marched dutifully to Poppy's carriage. Mary fixed Poppy a tea, Earl Grey, with lemon and 2 spoons of sugar and a dash of whiskey. Meredith skipped the tea and just poured herself whiskey. Neat. The two women, both wearing mysterious airs, spent the time while Hammond unloaded the carriage, catching up. Zara slipped into the room as the women continued to talk. Though she felt she may be, she was not unnoticed. Once Poppy felt thoroughly caught up, she punctuated the conversation awkwardly with a question. "Mary, who is your friend?" "Oh, that's right, love. You've never met Zara." "Zara," Poppy pondered. "Robert's protege. The one and only. I heard you were with Robert when he was killed, love." Zara felt punched in the gut, and her face showed as much. Poppy quickly padded her statement with sympathy. "I'm sorry for your loss. We all miss Robert." Mary's eyes shifted uncomfortably, as she knew she would be speaking with him soon. Zara gave an obligatory smile and a thank you. Mary quickly shifted her attention to Poppy's goods, which surrounded Hammond, possibly purposefully, as Hammond dug through her boxes, as a child might a candy store if left alone. Hammond's hands were already full of bottles and vials of elixirs and brews. The moment he could get a word in, he hijacked the moment with, "What is this one?" Hammond held forth a vial with swirling purple liquid. "It's strength of the Cyclops." Hammond set the vial aside. "And what about this one?" he inquired, of a teardrop-shaped bottle with blue liquid. It's for healing a wound. And this one, holding a green bottle wrapped in twine, that one's wine, dear. The group quickly combed through Poppy's inventory, racking up quite a bill, which was made more manageable by a sudden discount Poppy remembered. "It is late," Meredith stated, with a little concern. "Go, Mary," Poppy urged. "Get our Wolfie back. Tell him I have his flea powder when you find him, and we'll all have a good laugh when you return. I'll clean up this mess and lock up. You go get Wilhelm. The old boy needs ya." Mary cupped Poppy's hands and nodded in appreciation, with a smile. Poppy gave Mary a hug, then released, looking at Zara and then to Hammond. Both nodded back to her. They scooped up their new elixirs and marched out the door. Poppy packed her things. Mary flipped a pocket watch open and followed the bobbing second hand as it floated back and forth on its pin, guiding the team down alley and street until they came to the locked entrance gate of the Waterway Catacombs. Hammond knelt down to a chest he had dragged all this way. He handed Zara a pair of bolt cutters. "Now you get us in while I let out old Betsy." Zara sighed as she eyed old Betsy with concern, but she hastily clipped the lock, anticipating the fight for her good friend.
"Riders, gather round. No retreat, no surrender. That is Rider Law. And by Rider Law, we will draft and edit and cry. A new age has begun, an age of collaboration. And all will know that the dark and stormy nights gave their last breath to defend it."
Ow! Ow! Ow!
Okay, sorry about that. We had a couple of audio technical difficulties, but we're back.
And better than ever.
Yeah. I think so. New and improved.
We're back at least.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm not drunk enough for this.
We're at least $40 better.
Give me some time. Beer 3. So.
All right.
All right. So. Kind of
Okay.
caught us up, right? That was the end of. And I realized. Okay. I guess comments and critiques. I know we had a few, right?
Not really.
I mean, it's a rough draft, so I understand that it needs fixing.
A few details, maybe. I was thinking, like, okay, so Hammond goes out to what I assume is a wagon. I don't know if that's mentioned.
Carriage. Yes,
Carriage?
it's mentioned.
Okay. I'm having real trouble paying attention to anything today.
Yep.
And caffeine is not helping that issue at all. But at any rate, when he comes in with these vials and potions and whatever the hell, I picture maybe they're like in those like wooden carrying cases like they used to bring the milk in.
Or hat boxes. I really didn't describe it, and I do understand that may be something we want to do.
I don't know, man. I was kind of picturing like rolling cases that, she could wheel in with her and like open them up and there's all of her things on display.
That's possible. Could be like those craftsman cabinets.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if they're just vials, that's easy. But if it's like larger potion-sized things,
I don't think anybody believes.
Why does your potion have to be so large?
Because-
Concentrate that shit.
Well, because, we all play RPGs and they come in giant glass bottles.
I
You have to
just-
drink them in the middle of combat.
I don't think anybody believes that it would be a bunch of individual vials, right? I think everybody kind of had some kind of carrying case idea in mind.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know. I saw hat boxes. You saw a rolling case. It could be a combination of both.
Sure.
Hat box is like a little round.
Have you ever seen a
cardboard-
hat box before, Odin?
What?
Have you seen one?
Yeah, they're like.
Yeah.
They
Now
look like-
partition the fuck out of it and throw some vials in it.
All right,
It's like
all
a
right.
giant box of Valentine's chocolates.
For serious.
Yeah. But
Little-
way better.
little taller,
Because you
but
could blow
yeah,
people
okay,
up with
I
the
could
stuff
see
in
it.
there.
Now, I only gave a couple examples of the potions, right?
Mhm.
Now she has dozens, and we might put a few of those potions up on the website.
Mhm.
So I'll probably draw a couple of those. They're really easy.
Mhm. Please,
Uh,
please don't try to recreate them.
So
That's all.
yeah, do not make these at home.
They will not actually blow up your enemies.
Yeah,
Well, they
potions
either won't work or they will poison you.
Well, and potions of Cyclops drink, they're really bad. You get one eye for like an hour or something. It's terrible.
We
Bad
are not
idea.
responsible for any side
Yeah,
effects.
Yeah.
And when he sets it aside, is he setting it down like on the carpet, on the table? Is he pocketing it? Which
What
sounds
did your
very like
imagination
Hammond.
tell you?
Being Hammond,
What did it
I'm
tell
seeing a
you?
tool belt and he's like sliding it in. Like he's not stealing it, he's just setting it aside. Because
So-
Hammond's kind of a kleptomaniac, even if he means to pay for it.
All right, that's all well and good, but I'm sure Poppy's tracking that stuff and
Oh,
adding
of
it to the
course,
invoice.
of course. But I'm just saying, if he's setting aside, to me, that's how Hammond would set aside. I don't know. But
I
that's,
guess. I
that's,
don't know
that's
that
as
it
far as
really
I got.
needs to be spelled
I
out
don't
in,
got a
the,
lot of
in the
notes.
wording, though.
Yeah, I don't think so either. Okay, so what else?
That's really about it.
I
don't
think
know.
that it was a rough draft, so like a couple of like wording things that I caught were no big deal because those will obviously be cleaned up. Otherwise, I thought it was pretty good. The only thing I was thinking is because, and I mean, it's probably just because when Loki created the character, she was kind of like this big deal that we were really excited about. And I don't know, like maybe we could make it just kind of a bigger deal when we introduce her. And
Did
then,
we
like,
describe what she looks like?
I didn't describe her at all.
Okay, well, that
I'm
will have to be
imagining her
added.
to be blonde and dainty and stuff like that, but
Mhm.
and proper, much like
And didn't
Okay.
we say
Meredith.
she'd have like a pink carriage that she carts
Right,
her
yeah,
wares
she's
around
very
in?
she's very Mary Kay of the of the
Well,
Victorian era.
Considering we don't describe anyone going outside, that can be a detail for later. But I do think that when you first introduce a character, it's about the only time it's really necessary to describe them.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I agree that there is more that we have to do with Poppy. However, I wanted to get the gist of the story in, and I do think we have to
And
go
I think
back.
you absolutely did that. I'm just saying that when we go back and edit,
Yeah.
that maybe we kind of flourish up Poppy a little
I
bit.
agree. I agree. And maybe give away more detail of her personality and stuff like that.
Right, I kind of felt like she would have like a bigger, more salesman-y kind of personality.
Yeah. I don't think necessarily as
Well,
irritating
these are friends, though.
No,
as
not
the average Mary
irritating.
Kay consultant.
No, but you had kind of originally described her as almost like a snake oil salesman, only her stuff works.
Right.
So I kind of feel like she has kind of a bigger, more...
Yeah, a little larger than
maybe a little
life kind
exuberant,
of,
yeah.
feel to it. Yeah, I agree. I do think that she would be a little more out there. Once again, though, like Odin pointed out, they know each other, you know. So
Right.
This isn't new. The only person that's kind of new here is Zara.
So
who
right, it would
seems-
maybe be Zara's first impression of her.
And Zara seems a little more. The comment that was made kind of sets her back, you know. But other than that,
Yes.
Maybe it should be a little Billy Mays, you know.
So-
yes, exactly. Like a little...
do some cocaine and
What? No. No, that's not... I don't think
No?
what we were
No,
getting at.
no, you know, you get
A
buy
little
one,
infomercial-y?
get one for free for 19.99 pounds or whatever.
I don't know. We can play with
Well,
it.
I
Like, I
think-
don't want to make her annoying, but like...
Hey, the ShamWow worked.
well, I think in the potion in
ShamWow
Poultice
did work.
Palace, I think in Poppy's potion in Poultice Palace, it's a little more over the top.
Yeah. Very
Yeah.
pink.
And a lot more breasts, like
Breasts?
big pushed up boobs to entice men into buying these potions and poultices, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. Well, I don't know. I'm sure we'll be able to flourish her up a little bit, you know, with some more personality or
Right.
depth or
Yeah.
something when
Like
we go
maybe
back and
she-
clean it up.
Maybe she floated into the room and, you know, moved.
Or
with
maybe
a-
she just had a sales pitch for some of those potions, you know,
Well,
like there's
and we
never...
also have a little bit of an opportunity coming up if we're going to go the route we were talking about, where she ends up defending the house.
That's true, and that's actually something I'm kind of excited to see because I think it would be funny,
Right. So, you
and
know,
that's definitely
okay,
a point
so
for her to shine.
maybe it'll be my responsibility, or if we want to take it on together, to describe Poppy better, give her a better introduction.
Was that my chapter?
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
your chapter.
That's your chapter. doing
Well,
the
I don't
fight.
want to do a description if you're going to add one here because
No,
that'll be redundant.
that's not what I'm saying.
No. We're saying that's her moment to like really shine and,
Oh,
and like
okay, yeah,
kind
yeah.
of
Right. So
burst.
we'll a little not
With,
over describe her, but
yeah.
really
Like
do
set her
her
up.
justice
Sure.
in 6.5, which is what we just did. Well, in the chapter you're going to write, it's a lot more. You're going to probably introduce Philip. You know, so you,
Right.
you know, so your job will be to give us a better description of Philip than we've had so far, and then to really.
God,
give us a
yeah,
good
I'm
fight
trying to
scene.
remember if I... No, I did describe his hair and eyes. Okay.
Are they
Yeah.
dreamy?
Huh?
Are they dreamy?
Well, I was doing the
Wilhelm
narrator
thinks
voice
so.
in kind of Wilhelm's head, so yeah, they are. They are indeed.
So yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think that's going to be a cute chapter.
I think it'll be
That's
a
the
fun
route it
chapter. I
takes.
like writing fights, and I keep not getting them. So
Yeah,
This is true. I actually don't like writing fights.
I love
so
writing a good
thank you
fight.
all for the trip down the tunnel that
this
I
is
got.
just it's just been like
Well, it's good to be outside of our box, though.
it's been an
you
odd
know.
placement. It's completely
I
happenstance.
am not funny. So yes, the box is on the other side of the room for me right now.
I don't know. I think it's happenstance the way it's just fallen together though, and it's just like
Mhm.
I've got none of the fight sequences.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm just gonna throw it in just
Just work them in. It's their job, literally. You can throw it in anywhere.
right. So
My only other thing I would guess, I believe you said they entered some sort of water tunnel. I'm assuming that's the watershed, top level sewer, the water drainage.
So there's catacombs under London that channel water. I don't know if they're still active, but back then they were. And they're not always full of water, of course, during the dry season, less so, during the wet season more so. I don't think all of them are always filled with water. Even in the wet season, I think some of it stays dry.
The only reason I asked to clarify is because we talked about various different types of crypts and mazes and underground labyrinths and
Sure,
like
yeah.
exactly what we're dealing with.
I know there's all kinds of weird shit in there, like there's big open cisterns and stuff like that were used for, or at least fabled to have been used for cult, worship of things or
Yeah,
what
this-
have you.
That is one thing I'm not looking forward to studying because in my own story, there it is involved exactly that.
Yeah, we've kind of
And
mirrored that idea
I
in your
ki-
story, yeah.
Well, the thing is I just feel that like I can't imagine anything more boring than medieval plumbing, and yet I feel like it's something I'm going to have to learn a lot about.
I don't know. I don't think it's so bad, but I mean, honestly, I don't think it needs that much over description either. These are bricked-in passageways that channel water or allow workers to get around the city to find places that aren't channeling water the way they should.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I didn't really look into this at all, but I did write the first part of chapter 7, and I assumed catacombs were just stone tunnels because that's how I've always seen them, and I
That's-
didn't even realize water was a factor.
That's what it is. Yeah.
I mean, obviously it's damp underground, but I didn't realize
no,
there
you're
was
pretty
like
much right.
running
It's just
water.
that, occasionally it is basically a river
Rivers,
channeled
yeah.
under the ground. So
But I also feel like any part of the catacombs that Desmond's team is using down there, they're probably sticking to the drier areas.
if they can,
If
yeah.
they can, sure.
I mean, they may have to trek in and out of some of these watery
Mhm.
ways, but
Well,
I don't
Just
think
not
it's
as
an
big as like Ghostbusters 2.
I don't think it's a super important
Mhm.
detail. I don't think at any point they're going to be waist deep in it, or maybe they will, here or there.
I
but-
mean, I haven't actually gotten to the part in Chapter 7 where I started writing the team's battle through the tunnels, but I will definitely have them sloshing through some water to incorporate that.
yeah, that'll make Mary nice and miserable.
Oh, she'll be pissed.
So
Yeah.
I think she's going to want vengeance on somebody
Well,
after
She's-
all that.
you know what
They
she's
have
gonna
those little
have to do?
sidewalks on the side.
No, they don't. Not in these. They're not like American sewers.
Oh.
She's going to have to take
That's
off the bottom part
disappointing.
of her full skirt and just have like the thigh-high one with the boof in the back.
That would be funny. She whips off the
Yeah,
poofy
she's like, no, I got this.
bottom part, and
She's got
there's
like thigh-high boots on.
revealing like 100 weapons to everybody. It's like there's just weapons strapped to everything.
Just like tights on or something.
She's going to be like, oh, hold on. And she starts pulling like 200 weapons out of her skirts.
Yeah, so much that even Zara's eyes bug out or something. That'd be funny.
Even holding out on me.
I know. It's like, bitch is better armed than I am. Damn. So, right. And Hammond's like, I've got, which did we say? Is it Betsy or Bertha he took? It's Betsy. He took Betsy with him.
See, it'd be kind of funny if at some point she really needed a knife or something. She's like, I'm tapped out, and then later that scene happens, and she just has like the 50
Ooh,
different
no,
weapons on
but
her.
see, this is where I would go with a fight scene. You're not entirely off base here. Here's my thinking, right? Is that Zara was very meticulous in her choices,
Right.
But that's, of course, we know what they're going to face, and that's not exactly the issue. The issue is Meredith is much better armed than Zara. Zara is intelligently armed because she chose
Right.
based off of potential enemies, right?
Like
What if
Batman.
She was more selective.
What if Zara runs out of weapons? They're in a little battle or something
And
like
Meredith
that.
keeps handing
And
things
she's
over.
well, no, she's pulling them off of her, you know?
Oh,
she
that's
sees it, she starts
cute.
pulling weapons off of her. It's like, hey, I need that one or something.
Right.
So yeah, it's not a terrible idea.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what you're gonna do with. Honestly, I purposely dropped Betsy in your lap.
Yeah, thanks for that.
And I think it's
Did
gonna
you
be
not
fun.
define Betsy?
Betsy can be whatever she
Betsy's
wants
not
it to be.
defined. Loki and I had actually talked about creating a very large, like, Hammond invention that is so overly complicated that every time the team looks at it, they're like, oh, hell no. There is no way that that thing is going to work
Right.
and not blow us all up. And so we talked about like how this weapon keeps coming up throughout the story, and it's either going to get blocked from being used. He's either ultimately not going to need it, or he'll like pull it out, and then the team hides it before they have a chance to go off into battle. And it just keeps repeatedly happening. And we figured this is something that we could actually pull out in like at the end of, this book or the final book or whatever it ends up being. He pulls it out, and this is like the one invention that just works perfectly.
I even thought it might be funny if he goes to use it and then something's coming at them and like Zara yanks it out of his hands and uses it as a shield. Like she just blocks, like there's a giant something coming at them and she like yanks it out of his hands and blocks it or something like that. It's like, oh, I was going to use that.
Right.
Like
she uses it as a bat to like swat away
right,
spiders.
yeah. He's like, wouldn't it have been better served if we would have just like used it, So yeah, I mean, I don't know. There's a good place to go with it. So do you need to set us up for your chapter? Do you need to let us know anything? Should we know anything in advance?
No, I think that what we talked about for my chapter was you guys wanted to split it between bad guys and good guys.
Yeah. Is that going to work out okay?
I mean, it's got to now. So, So
I think some of these split up chapters might become their own chapters eventually instead of being a split chapter.
It'll probably depend on how editing goes and how much gets fed back into there and how much gets cut out, And I mean, it's possible. We've already done some rearranging.
Well, it's
also
also
possible we'll switch some things around.
Right.
to accommodate the rather strict linear fashion narrative you wanted to follow. So this was sort of a back and forth, meanwhile, kind of situation.
Temporal storytelling I find to be the best. I don't like the...
Ideally, but I mean, it doesn't have to be a straitjacket.
But, well, it also means there's nothing wrong with the chapter being 1 or 3 pages or something like that on occasion. And there's nothing wrong with chapter that's 20 pages when it's necessary. People aren't always doing something, So...
I don't know. My pages are digital these days, so I have no idea what anything is
It
anymore.
is a little harder to tell, I think, sometimes. I go off of...
I've lost all track.
I go by Microsoft Word pages based off a 12-size font, so...
Well, those are like 11 by 7 pages, so that's completely
which
outside.
is much bigger than your average
Yeah,
book.
because that's what I write in, so...
Right.
All right. So, do you want to come back in a minute?
It's up to you. However you want to work it.
So, Odin, do you have any comments? Do you have any input on where we should go for this?
No, I think we're good to wrap up, and I'll come back.
Yeah, I mean, chapter 7 is just going to pick up. It's not going to start with where the team is at. It's going to jump into where Karen is at.
Okay.
Because that's kind of, again, the meanwhile. We left off with Karen walking off with Wilhelm, and so it's going to kind of pick up after that point.
Okay. So don't forget, you can be part of the conversation. You can help us write this story if you join us at the darkandstormynights.home.blog.
Comments, please.
Yes, please give us comments.
I
You
have
can
no
also
idea
join
how
us
bad we are.
at the Dark Stormy K1 on Twitter,
Where I am.
or the darkandstormynights.podbean, or is it .podbean.com?
.podbean.com, yeah.
So join us there. Thanks.
I am Jack's rancid search history. Without me, Jack can't write a believable story.
I am rejection. I kill Jack's dreams.
Listen to the Dark and Stormy Nights podcast on Podbean.
Okay, so we're back, and Tyr is going to read the first part, right? The first
Yeah,
part
just the beginning part of chapter 7.
of chapter 7. Want to hear it? Here it goes.
All right. Karen rolled her eyes as Desmond's heavy footsteps echoed loudly off the stone catacomb walls, growing more distant and then moving closer again as he tried to find the correct location. She glided out of the shadows into the juncture where the tunnels met, her own steps silent in her fabulous new boots. This realm certainly had its advantages, even if she was bound here by an arrogant man currently daring to make her wait. He needed to be taught a lesson. Her mouth watered at the thought of sinking her teeth into him, but alas, he was off limits. That damn contract ensured she wouldn't get a taste. Growing tired of waiting, Karen moved toward the sound of the man huffing his irritation. She had a snack waiting at home, and she didn't want to leave him unattended for long. Within seconds, she appeared behind Desmond and waited for him to lift his attention from the map in his hand. Several long seconds later, he turned and nearly walked into her, barely pulling himself up short with an unmanly squeak. Desmond cleared his throat and stepped back, attempting to draw attention away from his retreat by straightening his jacket with a huff. Yes, it's about time you showed up. Karen's eyes narrowed, but Desmond pushed on, not giving her time to respond. What is your progress? Why haven't you disabled the team yet? She went still at his tone, fighting the dangerous instincts that demanded she teach the arrogant fool how insignificant he was. I have secured a way in. By the time I'm done, they will come to me and my army will be waiting. Candlelight flickered over his angry expression. It's been weeks, and you have nothing to show for your time here. I brought you here for a reason. If you're incapable of taking down one little team, I will break the contract and send you back where you came from. Karen's shoulders tightened with restraint as she stalked closer, gliding forward like the predator she was. The last man that spoke to me that way didn't keep his head long enough to finish his sentence. Keep in mind, Desmond, breaking the contract will eliminate the only reason your head remains attached. Desmond's eyes widened before his expression morphed into a sneer once more. You would not be the first of your kind I banished back to hell, he spat. His lip curled in disgust, making his opinion of her kind perfectly clear, as his blustering bounced off the stone walls, the threat echoing around them long after the words were spoken. Such disdain for her kind, and yet he was the one who summoned her. The audacity of this man was astonishing. Karen bared her teeth in a threatening smile, the venom unmistakable in her calmly spoken words. Perhaps not, child, but how confident are you that I would not find my way back? This is not my first time in this realm, nor will it be my last. Are you willing to gamble that I will not return within your lifetime? My kind does not forget easily. I don't think you truly understand the horror of having a demon fixated on you, or the damage we can cause when we latch on. Desmond visibly paled at her words, his eyes unfocused as though lost in memories. Karen raised a brow. Perhaps he knew exactly what she spoke of. I will complete my mission as planned, and I will send word once it's done. Desmond's eyes snapped back to hers at the dismissive tone. Shaking off his distraction, he straightened and looked down his nose at her. You will report back to me within 12 hours with something more than a plan. I trust that you've learned I'm not one to be trifled with. With that, Desmond turned his back on Karen and strode away, his hissed whispers echoing off the walls as easily as his thundering footsteps. Jennifer? Jennifer, where did you go, woman? Appetite ruined, Karen returned to her cozy chamber she'd been calling home. With a sigh, she settled into the cool, damp corner and looked over at her prisoner. He sat bound on the ground, Webbing holding him in place as he eyed her. Philip was a good man. He didn't deserve to get caught up in this. Honey, I'll admit a girl's got to eat, but that one wasn't on my radar. If Philip is missing, it wasn't me. His head tipped in that curious canine way, but before he could speak, movement above his head drew her attention. Whoops. Nibbles, no. The furry spider sat on the shelf she'd hung. On one side sat a lovely antique vase that brought some much-needed color to the room. The other side held a jar of herbs she'd procured for the purpose of interrogating her prisoner. Nibbles reached out one furry leg and nudged the vase once more. Don't you do it, Nibbles. But he'd always been a bit of a rascal, and once again he batted at the vase, causing it to teeter in its precarious position. I am warning you, mister, do not make me get the spray bottle. Nibbles jolted and scrambled off the shelf, knocking into the jar in his panic. It dropped, smacking Wilhelm on the head before crashing to the ground in a spray of glass and wolfsbane. Wilhelm yelped and fell to the side. The webbing jostled loose, but still held. The room stilled. Wilhelm blinked slowly a few times, and then the giggle started. Karen rose to her feet with a sigh. The wolfsbane would basically act as a truth serum, but it also tended to leave wolves feeling a little giddy and drunk. She stepped in front of Wilhelm to tighten the webbing when the giggle stopped abruptly. Those boots are amazing, Wilhelm said. Why, thank you, honey. Aren't they fantastic? I got a fabulous deal. The dress is, too. I've never seen weaving so intricate. It's exquisite. Meredith would love it. You must tell me where you got it. Karen preened. I made it myself, actually. I have a bit of a gift for weaving. Feeling a little more charitable towards the man, she lifted him and sat him down again, away from the worst of the glass. I can find a way out of that contract. What? Karen frowned at the sudden subject change. No doubt Wilhelm had heard Desmond's shouting echoing through the tunnels. Wilhelm swallowed a few more giggles and slid back down to lay in the wolfsbane. The contract, he repeated dreamily. There's always a loophole. No one thinks of everything. His words drifted off as he started humming randomly. If you get me a copy, I'll find the loophole. Why would you do that? Wilhelm shrugged, his words slightly slurred. Being hated, used, or punished because of who we are is wrong. I'm tired of seeing other people's judgment threatening our safety and fueling our own self-doubts and loathing. Karen had a feeling he wasn't talking about her anymore. The wolfsbane had loosened some repressed feelings, but she found herself wanting to listen. His words made her feel a little less alone. Every week I listen to stories from good people about being hated for no more than who they are. Did you know that Rupert from the Sunday meetings used to be a firefighter? He was fired when one of the other men realized what he was. It didn't matter who he was. He was feared and punished simply because he was different. He worked there for years. Those people knew him, but in the end it didn't matter. The world turned his back on him. What kind of man would I be if I stood by and allowed that to happen when there's something I can do about it? Any other time, Karen would have called this a trick, a ruse to get her to release him, but he hadn't asked for anything in return. Instead, he spoke with a goofy smile and heavily lidded eyes as he contentedly rolled his bound body around in the herbs that should have loosened his tongue in truth. The wolfsbane had stuck to the webbing and basically cocooned the man, causing a rustling of dry leaves with his every shift. Karen considered the man for a long moment, but before she could make a decision on what to do next, his loud snores filled the room. And that's where I've left off so far.
There's a lot of things I like about that chapter.
Yeah, and one objection I had that it was immediately quieted, and that was you mentioned the surprise I wanted to reveal later of Philip still being alive, but it's a good tactic to get Wilhelm to be agreeable to her.
Right, and that was kind of what I thought, was that Wilhelm wouldn't help her if he thought that she killed his love interest.
Right, no, that's true.
It's completely fair. I love that Nibbles
Yeah.
is a spider cat. That's great.
I mean, yeah.
We discussed that on air before, haven't
We
we?
did.
Yeah,
we
but-
talked
but-
about
but-
making him a
but
pet. We didn't know if it was
The
going to be dog or
descriptor
a
of
cat.
it, the,
yeah.
the being a dick like all cats are and trying to knock the base down.
Yeah, I definitely think that
'Cause they
that
do what they
later
want.
he's going to be like crawling on her, like stick his ass in his face or her face, or like climbing on her work while she's trying to do
what are those?
something.
What are the spinnerets? It keeps clinching its spinnerets
I think
in her
that's what they're
face,
called.
like a, because cats always have their butthole in your face.
Yeah, that's what I'm
so
talking
instead,
about.
its spinnerets keep clicking
Oh,
in your
Jesus.
face. So, because that's the little fangs on its ass or whatever, right? That would be funny. But I love the allegory there with the Where's Anonymous for you know for the gay lifestyle and stuff like that.
Right,
Okay.
right. He's kind of got it twofold, where he's a shifter and then he's also gay, and he has to deal with the fact that neither one of these things about him are accepted, and
Right.
it kind of
But yeah,
doesn't
his
help his own
experience as
self-doubts.
aware
Right.
is parallel to the experience of many people
Exactly.
in the LGBTQ community.
Yep.
So
I didn't want to get too preachy, but
Well,
No, but it was great. It
He's
fit
tall, he's an
perfectly.
academic. There's lots of reasons he's on the outside.
Right.
Right.
So there was a great little piece in there that I always wonder what inspires those moments when I hear them in a movie or something like that, when the guy gives the speech and it's just like, all right, something inspired that, something happened to that guy that day, something to get that fucking speech that right.
right.
You know, like the "We are the all moving filth of the world" speech from frickin' Fight Club or whatever. It's just like, all right, what triggered that? This was, I think, a similar thing. As it felt like something inspired. So I really dug that. So
Cool.
I like I like Karen. That she's her hobby's weaving and stuff like that. And it's
Yeah.
I mean,
well,
that
yeah,
was
of course it
something you
is.
came up with, so I just worked it in there.
Yeah, and I felt like you did what we were talking about, where you were starting to develop that Jack and Karen relationship from Will and Grace. I like that. So
I didn't watch it, so.
I love Will and Grace. I liked it better than Friends. Shoot me for it.
Oh yeah, no, totally.
Will and Grace is better than Friends. I don't care what people say.
I agree.
Because of Jack and Karen, I could give a shit about Will or Grace.
I was kind of over sitcoms by that point, but all right.
So I don't know.
I do like that she glided, because I think with 8 legs or 6 or whatever the hell she would have, I mean, she's more centaurian, I imagine. Like, she has human arms, so she's probably a 6 leg. I don't know.
Actually, I've seen, and I never knew where to go with Karen as her real form, because there are so many depictions of Joragumo in different
Right.
ways that many of them have like 8 human arms. Sometimes the arms are like shadowy, representations.
Well, I think
and
she
not real.
shapeshifts.
You
But I
know?
think that, like, in her native state. I would picture like a centaur, just like if anybody plays Dungeons and Dragons would know a Drider.
I don't think we've still, to this time, fully defined it, though.
We haven't, but the thing is that she's blending in with Shifter Anonymous meetings, which means she has to be able to appear human in order to be out
Yeah,
in
but-
public and about.
No, I
and
think
able
she
to be
fully shifts.
There is such a variety of shifters, though. That what is to say there isn't a shifter spider, in that regard.
Right, and there's
so-
no reason that she can't, especially wandering around in the catacombs where she's feeling at home and she's, sitting in her dark, damp corner like a spider.
Right.
There's no reason her legs wouldn't be out. But still, she's wearing the boots, so she's got to have some human feet in there, too.
Just to make the distinction, I mean, a wearer is either a human who turns into an animal. This is a spirit. Probably a
She
human
is
at
not
one point,
aware. She's not.
but she's a
tr-
spirit.
Yeah, she would not be a true wear.
Right.
However, and in fact, because I think
But she
wares.
is kind of shiftery.
Well, I think that wares are. Yeah, so maybe you're right. Maybe it's a shifters anonymous, not wares anonymous. Because
It doesn't matter. She wasn't really
Well,
there for the
Yeah,
meetings.
I mean, do you think it's for non-humans?
What?
Their little support group.
Well, what I'm saying is that as a shifter, I think most shifters are beholden to a part of the curse that says that you will change form.
Right.
Not that you have any control of the change. You know what I'm saying? And I think that shifter implies that there may be a variety of how it works.
Yeah, I just don't think that the broad catch-all shifter is as common as wares in this community.
I agree with you. I would agree with you.
The
I think
name might still be the same.
I don't think
know.
the name ultimately matters.
I think the two primary types of shifter are werewolf and werebear. But I think there are plenty of other types of were, But then I also think there's probably plenty of shifters, different types of shifters. It's a common mythos.
Well, don't forget, we have a were raccoon.
So, right. But I'm saying
Right.
that shifting is a common mythos. It's a very common mythos. There's so many types of shifting beings.
That's true.
So why not make it this kind of, catch-all? Do you have more than one form? You're welcome. Come on in.
Yeah, but I mean, ultimately, the name of the group doesn't matter. Even if it started off as wares, if they're welcoming to all, does the name matter?
I guess the distinction I was drawing was the Jorogromo. Is it like Minotaur? Is there, because in the mythology, there's only one Minotaur. It's not a race of beings.
Right, yeah.
With the Jorogromo, I assumed it was just one spirit, but I don't know.
No, I think she is just one.
Right, so then she's not,
Well,
she doesn't have a
I
community.
am sure there is a singular fable that it was born from. And then from there, of course, it was Dungeons and Dragonized.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm
To
saying. It's like,
be-
is it like Medusa? It's just that one cursed being and her two
Right.
sisters, but not like a whole race of beings. That's kind of what I was
Sure.
getting at. I don't
Gee,
know.
We should put Gorgons in there.
I mean, I love Gorgons personally, but and I'm a big Medusa fan, so I'm not against it. Maybe that's the temper tantrum that ensues after Desmond fails. Who knows? So there's plenty of room. Okay, so where are you going from here?
All right, so let's see. From here, I think that we're going to leave Wilhelm and Karen alone for a bit. They can sort out their feelings with each other when he wakes up.
Do you plan to write that?
I don't think it's necessary. I think
Okay.
we need to jump over to the team.
That's fine.
right?
However, when we fade back in, they should be drinking
I don't.
wine.
Yeah, like I don't think that we need to address this any further
Sure.
here because I think that would stomp all over the reveal at the end of the fight.
Well,
right?
that's the thing. I think you can easily reveal it by when this all comes back around. They're already giggling.
Yeah,
and
they're
drinking,
already like chilling.
And yeah, Pally Pal, and he's dressed up. Maybe that's a weird little reveal as he's dressed up in something she made.
Oh, is he in fully human form in that scene?
That's a good thing.
I'm thinking maybe the Wolfsbane might shift him a little.
Described Wilhelm, like in what
Did
form
we
he's ever in?
determine? Does he turn into a full-on wolf, or does he turn into like
I figured he could do both.
a wolf man?
Like you can go either into your animal form or some hybrid form.
I mean, I don't know. I can make a reference to his tail peeking out of the webbing if you like, but he's mostly wrapped up.
Well, the problem with Wilhelm, of course,
Well, that's what I'm thinking.
as
It's
we've
like-
said, is that if Wilhelm is stressed, bits of him shift.
yeah,
not
he's mostly
all.
drugged here.
If he is right, if he's not stressed, he is only subverted by his
Emotion.
the moon or whatever.
Mhm.
So his normal cycle will kick in otherwise, but stress is causing his shifting to happen when it's not supposed
Well,
to.
my question was this: okay, you got Wolfsbane involved. maybe that affects him in that fashion. I don't know.
Oh, maybe.
So, but I was really thinking a spider webs plus fur would be pain.
Oh, yeah, that would be like waxing.
Yeah. I mean,
But-
it'll all grow
I
back.
don't know that
but
it would be. I don't know. I just thought it was funny if
I
I,
mean-
had the wolfsbane all stuck.
No,
to the
no, I'm just
webbing all over
picturing
him.
like she's trying to be nice to him and gentle and like ripping this giant Band-Aid off of him, and he's
But I mean, he's also
being
kind
a
of
mantle lantern.
not in sync with his werewolf side. Maybe he wouldn't mind that his fur's not going to sprout for like a couple of weeks. So
I don't know. I think the next time he
Well,
shifts, it'll be there again.
That's the thing. Every time you shift, you heal.
Ah.
Generally speaking. So, yeah, anything that you thought you did, any self-mutilation or what have you, you might have done to
I mean, I
fix
don't know
this.
that I would define waxing as self-mutilation.
No, that's
but-
not what I'm
Then
saying.
again, in
but,
Silver Bullet, the guy
but-
lost an eye.
But like
in both forms.
like it's a common theme, Lucifer more recently cutting off the wings or something like that,
Mhm.
and then you go back and they're there, or what have you. Is I feel like even if a wolf tried to cut off his tail or in ears, they
Aw.
would still be there the next time. There's nothing you could do to escape it.
Yeah, I don't know if you lose something. I mean,
So-
hair's one thing, but like
I don't know what
limb
kind of
or
spider webs you guys
appendage.
have walked into. I mean, granted, hers are a little stronger
Are you
because
kidding me?
she's.
The same at the same
yeah, this
thickness.
is a
If you
giant demon
wove
spider.
spider web, it would be the strength of steel.
But they're not that sticky.
I think it's scale,
They're clingy.
like an
It
ex-girlfriend.
It sticks to itself, but
Yeah,
I don't know.
I don't know. I'm picturing. I don't remember, and yes, I'm dating myself. I know, but it was one of the Freddy.
Oh, I hope you
Kruegers,
guys are in love.
You know,
anyway.
we have a good time.
That was more than we needed to know.
I don't know if it's the third or fourth Freddy Krueger, but there was one where he puts the human into a roach motel and slowly turns into a roach.
Yeah,
And they
yeah.
start peeling off their skin and everything and sticking to that glue trap. in
Okay,
the inside.
those are sticky enough to rip skin off.
Yeah, I don't know. That's kind of what I imagine a giant spider would make. I don't know.
Okay, so
So it should be like 400 times more gory. Is that what you guys are asking for here?
No, I'm like I said, 40-year-old virgin man lantern.
that was kind of funny.
Kelly Clarkson.
that was good, and I'm not a big Steve Carell fan, but that was a great scene.
That was a great scene.
All right,
great
so
movie.
what are we expecting
Okay.
next show?
So after this point, I think that the chapter needs to jump back to. I really think that. Oh no, crap! I have 2 more places to go.
You do.
I have to send Nibbles to deliver a message, and I have to do the team's battle through the catacombs.
Okay. Is the Nibbles message going to be that difficult, you think?
No, it's just going to be what order do I put them in. So basically what we're going to do is Nibbles is going to go back to Desmond. He demanded to know what she was doing within 12 hours. And really, I think that just to spite him, she's sure as hell not going to show up in person because he ordered her to. So I think that she's going to send Nibbles with this message and also with the order to bring back the contract so that Wilhelm can look it over.
Well, I think that what we wanted to do, of course, was end the chapter with the team kicking the door in.
Right. So we probably have to do Nibbles next.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would think
too.
so. Now, does he got like
Okay.
a little scroll case on him or something?
He's going to have to take his little
Or collar?
his little rolled up note back, and they're going to have Bob take it from him. And then there's going to be a little bit of Nibbles not letting it go when Bob tries to take it, and there's a little tug of war game going
Well,
there.
she does so. I just want Nibbles in clothing. I don't know why. I just
Oh
need it.
Lord.
How about a back doily?
A what?
A back doily,
Oh,
like a
jeez.
little doily on his butt.
Anyway.
I don't know.
Anyway,
An
so
adorable
then
little vest or something.
after a little rustling over the note, I think that Nibbles, we talked about Nibbles biting Bob, and then Bob is going to kind of slowly fall off the chair and sink to the ground, at which point,
Am I dying?
right, at which point Nibbles will start slowly wrapping him up, and they're going to
Oh,
be
yeah,
like,
that's
oh,
right.
really?
You're just dragging him off.
Yeah, I feel like
they
the
could
s-
save him
And
at
I
any
think-
point and nobody
The
bothers.
scene is unfolding
Yeah, I think that at this
around
point
him.
Desmond's just going to be like, oh, somebody get me another Bob.
Yeah, I think I'm dying. Quit being so dramatic.
Right.
But am I dying? Yes, but quit being so dramatic.
And so I think that we're going to have that. And then all of a sudden, they're just going to be left with. Oh, I did want to have it to where he's trying to drag Bob away, but maybe he's too heavy and he has to give up on it so that he can get the contract. I don't see how he's going to lug Bob and the contract.
I don't think
back.
he necessarily lugs him away, but maybe he like takes a piece of web up over like a what do you call it, like a
Sticks 'em up
rafter
for
or something
for
like
later.
that, and starts to like tug him up. So you see Bob kind of shucking up slowly, like like inching up like a couple inches at a time until Bob's hanging from the rafters.
I mean, it worked for me, but what I was picturing is, you see the spider scurrying away and then stop because just the body jerks like 6 inches,
Oh, he
and then the
tugs.
spider runs again and it jerks another 6 inches, and it's just like slowly.
But you know what I
and
think?
everyone's just looking at this, and they're just kind of turning their head and
Yeah,
looking.
I think this is what it has to be. Is he just slowly starts like little jerks dragging Bob away, and then he gets stuck in the doorway, and he keeps tugging, and it like goes on for a ridiculously long amount of
But
time,
right,
where
right,
he's
right.
trying to tug him through the doorway, and finally he just sinks in this dejected like,
Well,
and he has
feel-
to leave without him.
I feel like that's what's happening, right? So Desmond's talking to he's talking to Jennifer, he's talking to Caleb, what
Yeah,
have you,
like
right,
it
the other
just
team
keeps going
members.
on with-
But yeah, every so often they hear something, is they look over it and they see the spider like pulling him, and, and then they're doing something else, and he's done it again. You know what I'm saying?
You know what would
Yeah.
be kind of funny?
Jesus
So,
Christ!
The whole
will,
time,
will you just help him get him out of here?
Yes, that's exactly what I was thinking. Like they're talking for 12 minutes and they keep getting interrupted by looking over at this thing, and he sends some other Bob to help the spider take the other Bob out.
I don't want to touch him. I don't know what to tell you. Just get it out.
You're Bob now. Go help the
I
spider.
don't want to be Bob. Yeah, that'd be kind of funny.
Okay, so after we
Oh my
get-
god, this is like fucking, I don't know. This is a great like comedy horror piece right
I
here.
know.
Right? That's like so of a scary movie.
Oh, I'm
movie.
seeing it as visual in my head. It's almost a shame that I can't go like direct to like TV series or movie
Right,
or whatever.
yeah,
Because
yeah.
in my head, I'm seeing the the thing from Adam's
Right.
Family as it's running through the hallways, except I'm seeing the spider through the tunnels. So in your story, I'm assuming you're going to cut to the spider arrives. But if it was being filmed, it'd be running through the sewer system and everything else,
Yeah,
and the
yeah,
camera
you
all
have the
low.
little
You know what I mean?
radio control shot.
That'd be hilarious. And then like to have that happening in the background,
But
like
if
you're
you-
not even describing in the movie. It's just in the
I
back.
think
Oh, it'd be so funny.
It's almost as good, right? He's trying to get him out of there and everything, and then Bob's finally like, I don't think I'm dead. But he's all wrapped up in web. You know?
Wait,
You will be
still
soon,
alive.
Bob. You will be soon.
Give it a minute.
Oh my god, shut him up.
Yeah. So anyway, so we have to sneak that seat in there because I think at this point it's got to be there. And then after that, it's gonna cut to
God, the morale in that camp.
the what?
How does
morale.
anybody else stick around? Right? If it wasn't for ulterior motives, I
Yeah.
don't think he'd have anybody.
Not all salaries are paid in coin.
So then I think that after that we go to the team, and I'm gonna have to bust out all those weapons you described them
You
packing
don't have to use them
up.
all.
Well, not all of them, but I definitely want to get some of Poppy's potions in there because she's kind of a big deal.
And I didn't say what they took, so you can use
Right,
anything.
right. So I kind of have free reign with that at least. And then, yeah, figure out. I think that Hammond's gonna hang on to, was it Bertha or Betsy?
It's Betsy they took, but I didn't say which is which.
Right.
I vote for flamethrower.
So I
So
think
you don't
that
think it's the spaghetti?
That was probably just his lunch.
I mean, it smelled like it for some reason.
So I think that he's going to bust out Betsy when they get there, and then it's going to end with them, busting down the door, and there is Karen and Wilhelm sipping wine and joking.
Oh my God.
I'm not against that. That's a great idea. Now, the
But
only thing
then
I will
next
say.
the problem is the next chapter is going to be a meanwhile.
Meanwhile,
Yeah.
I will say this: Hammond's an artist. If you do go with flamethrower, the nozzle of that thing looks like the head of a dragon.
I was thinking the same, yeah. Although, now that you said spaghetti, I'm thinking of failed project. Follow me on this, okay?
Yeah, but why would he choose between the two of them and choose the failed project?
Because it worked better. So picture
Wait,
the Play-Doh
a
spaghetti factory.
Good failure?
What if he was anticipating
He was making-
vampires and it's garlic? It's a garlic gun.
Well, that's not bad. But what I was suggesting
That's
was
why it smells like
he made
spaghetti.
he made a spaghetti press.
There's a bunch of garlic bread in the chest.
He made a spaghetti press, except that it launched it entirely too far, too fast, and way scalding hot. So it's just like a spaghetti bazooka.
Like spaghetti lava.
Yes.
I
Well-
I feel like maybe Hammond would not invent that because he did work for the government in the past, right?
Yeah.
So he has to be somewhat not an idiot.
It works. It does make spaghetti.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Even if that is the case, I'm not sure scalding spaghetti is the best.
You know what
weapon.
it could be? It's not necessarily spaghetti, but there's maybe 4 baby turtles in the trunk with a pizza.
God.
They're a secret weapon. Shut up! That was the best movie ever.
Although, you know, now I think about it, the garlic's
porn
not a
was
bad
better.
point.
The what?
The porn was better.
The porn?
Oh,
What?
Never mind.
There was Teenage Mutant Ninja
I really hope
Turtle
you're joking. I'm not Rule 34 in that. I'm not looking that up.
Do it.
Oh God, it probably
I'm
does.
slightly
exist.
disturbed now.
Wow.
It's not perverted until there's tentacles in it.
Mm. Like that. What was that puppet movie? Happy Time Murders.
Dude, that
Oh,
shit was
God.
the best. The writers of that were geniuses.
It was great.
Fucking genius.
It was so great.
I don't know the last time I laughed that much at something. That
Oh,
shit
God.
was
I
great.
had tears
felt like
running
most of us
down
were
my
in the
face at the
commercials.
previews.
I don't know. It was good. It was really good.
It was so good.
I'm a little jealous.
That you didn't think of it first.
Octopus milking a cow. That's
Oh
shit's
Jesus,
fantastic.
That was unbelievably disturbing.
I
and
know,
funny.
and you're watching it, and you're like, it's not really dirty.
I know.
And yet,
I know, but
How's
yet,
it G-rated and X-rated at the same time?
Yeah,
I could not.
I
could not wrap my head
guarantee if
around
you
that.
had kids in the room, you covered their eyes.
I know, right?
Guarantee that
Well,
shit.
I hope you didn't have kids in the room, but yeah.
You did.
Oh,
So wrong. Okay, so I don't know. All right, so Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is
what were
out for the
cutscenes
weapon.
like?
What's that?
What did they cut out of that movie? Is what I want to know.
You're right. If that stayed, what didn't make
that
the
was
cut?
awesome. And the silly string. Oh my God. so
Oh
great.
yeah! Like what? Yeah, that was great.
Anyway, not creating that in the tunnel scene.
Yeah, well, I don't think we can go for that brand of comedy in what we're going for here.
Probably not.
So, you know what? I'm not against the idea that it's a fold-up mech suit. In that
A what?
box. A fold-up mech suit. Like he
A
opens.
It's a bit
Mech
much
suit?
for steampunk. I
He
mean, they
opens
think
it-
should be like a
Are you
deep
fucking
diver,
kidding me?
deep
There's
diver outfit. You know.
There is goddamn mech suits in the steampunk all
a
the
mech
time.
suit. What's that?
It is a a mechanical body armor.
Like Iron
wearing
Man?
a robot.
Yeah, but
Like
but
Iron
it's
Man.
but it's for of course steampunk. You're gonna want it.
They would be like 300 pounds.
wood
Or
and gear.
RoboCop.
Who cares? It's a mech suit. It carries its own weight.
Right, but it's going to fold
You're
up in a
not
briefcase
carrying
like
it.
Jetsons.
He's a genius. What do you want here? I'm not sure what you're going for. It's steampunk.
Okay.
What part of steampunk didn't
Does
you
it get
understand?
less weighty? I mean, like, it's still a 300-pound briefcase.
He's
I feel
been
like
dragging it.
I feel like his chest needs wheels. I'll be honest with you.
So give it wheels. I didn't say it didn't have wheels.
Right. So yeah. So weight isn't a factor.
Do we need to include that?
No, I don't think it needs to be included in yours.
Maybe the chest is mechanically
Okay.
driven.
So he's taking carry-on into a sewer system that's bricked over.
No.
That needs
no,
a description.
No, he's
Cha-ching,
The
stopping
case,
to
cha-ching,
open
the
up.
case is left outside the gate.
Yeah, he's opening up outside
I
the
feel like
sewers.
Meredith
all
is
right.
also going to rip off her skirt and leave it with the case.
I'll take that.
Yeah.
Meredith ripping off her skirt sounds great with me.
Well, no, it's going to be a shorter skirt.
Oh.
She's taking off the overlayer.
I'm imagining her being a hottie. I gotta work on her drawing.
Yeah. She's definitely a hottie.
So, all right. I like where this is going. Do we have to lay out where Odin's going after that?
Yeah, we talked about it a little bit. So we're going to end with all that, and then the bust into the room, and that's where we're leaving it. But Odin won't have to address that at
I'm so
all.
jealous of Odin's chapter.
Well, Odin won't have. With Philip and Poppy.
Yeah, I'm doing home defense, right?
Yeah, home
It's
defense.
it's gonna be so good.
So basically, what's
like
going
if
to
you
happen
do this right, it's gonna be amazing.
Wow.
Is-
Thanks for the build-up.
is the message that Nibbles delivers to Desmond's team is that the house is empty. The team has left. They're coming after the Jorogumo. The house is empty. It's left unprotected. And that's the message that's delivered to them, which means that they are going to gear up and go to the house to steal the pig. Of course, there's no pig there, but there is Poppy and Philip.
Oh wait a minute! I did not describe Dale. with them. I should have done that.
You can, but I mean, I can describe him in the tunnels with them as well.
I didn't describe it, but I should
Well,
have. I should
he's got
describe them.
lamps.
Yeah, I should have described them.
You should have
gearing him
had
up.
Hammond gear him
We'll
up.
have to add that. Well,
Yeah.
I
or have
apologize,
each
audience.
person on the team add something to his gear.
Oh, that's not bad. Yeah, that's not
Yeah.
bad. Everybody gives him a little something.
He needs a vest.
Like a little. Well, I was thinking a saddle type thing that holds some gear.
No,
yeah.
I'm thinking like horse barding.
Well,
he's got some kind of leather armor.
We
or something.
discussed the UV helmet, which I think that might be just. They may have modified it to be a lamp. So it actually lights the tunnel.
Oh, that's a good idea.
I mean, I think a little bit of, they have the lanterns that have the little shields on them to direct the light.
Yeah, it's just
So-
a hooded lantern.
And then,
yeah.
like I get what you're going with the vest, but a simple saddle kind of thing on his back with some pockets on it to carry some extra, just little. So he only weighs like 30 pounds, so he's not a big pig.
Oh, okay.
So
I'm picturing a little larger.
So yeah, no, I mean 30 pounds, medium-sized dog. So. But yeah, I mean, and they probably threw a couple things on him, a couple gadgets or blades or something.
Yeah, I think they'd gear him up a little bit, or maybe like something. I don't know. You're the gadget guy.
I feel like they're probably developing some kind of holy water lotion by now, as well.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I don't know. We can come up with a few things. I apologize for forgetting him, but yeah, we'll have to add him right
Yeah,
back
I mean,
in.
I don't think it's a huge deal to squeeze him in there.
Right.
And then, so I mean, the chapter is essentially going to be them thinking that they're showing up to an empty house. We talked about
Poppy's
Jennifer.
there.
Poppy is there. You're going to have to show before the bad guys show up. Philip's going to show up looking for Wilhelm. That's on you.
Right.
Yeah.
I see. Are we still sure? I remember. I think it was the last episode we might have discussed this, and I don't remember the justification. Why did we want Philip there before and not later?
Do you want him to show up during the battle?
I-
Well, just
I- it-
because if you wait, then he's not going to have a chance to learn that anything happened to Wilhelm before he just jumps in and starts battling.
Yeah, I don't think there's enough motivation for him to jump in and help.
Well, he knows that Wilhelm lives there, doesn't he?
That's fine, but Wilhelm's not fighting anybody. at this
There's
moment.
nobody there but strangers. He
Yeah.
doesn't know who's who. He doesn't know who the bad
So-
guy is.
Poppy is fighting these people.
Yeah, I guess. Well, I mean, other than the fact that it's one on whatever the size of the crew is. But yeah, all right. I guess that's true. So whatever the reason, whatever the timing, I have to justify it.
And don't forget his ability.
Oh, no.
So you're starting off with Poppy in the house. I will make sure that the note that Nibbles delivers to the team is clear while he's trying to drag out Bob, so that you hear them discussing this, and that way that kind of sets you up for they're coming.
And it offers the timing too, right? Because so if Nibbles goes and takes the note first,
Mm-hmm.
then they're heading to the house as the team is still heading to.
Right.
So I think that works the timing out better.
Okay.
When you say I know, you mean the reader.
What do you mean?
That they know they're coming. You're saying that the reader knows.
The reader knows.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I dig it. I like it all.
Yeah, and then so you're basically starting with Poppy at the house packing up her stuff. Philip shows up, and then the battle.
Okay.
Sound good?
Yeah, works for me.
All right, let's come back in a week with more story.
All right.
Thanks for listening to us, guys. Like I said, go see us at the Dark Stormy K1 on Twitter, the Dark and Stormy Nights.home.blog, or the Dark and Stormy Nights.podbean.com. And let us know what you think. Add to the story.
Right. I mean, if
Join the
enough
action.
people comment or have a good suggestion, we may well incorporate it.
Yep. See you next week.
Greetings, dames and knights. If you like what we do, follow us on Twitter at The Dark and Stormy K1 or our website at thedarkandstormynights.home.blog. Or you can rate us on Podbean, Google Play Music, or iTunes.